I know a lot of girls are gonna be able to relate to this. I hope so. Or am I weird? Have y'all ever gone to like a guy's house? Okay, actually before you went over to his house, you let him know that you don't want to do anything. And he said it's cool, like you don't have to do anything. And you're like, cool, I don't have to do anything, so I'll go. You end up going and he still tries to do something. And you suck at boundaries. I mean, I suck at boundaries. He keeps on trying, you kind of say no, but then he's like, well, what did you expect? And again, you suck at boundaries. I suck at boundaries. And like, I also have an issue with like taking blame for everything. Like, of course, I know how guys are. Like, what did I expect? Even though I told him, what did I expect? So you just let him get it. You let him have you. You let him.
I want to share something very, very personal. When I was a Christian, and even a little while after, I was indulgent in sex a lot. And after every experience, I would feel very guilty. So much so that I felt like nothing good was going to come into my life, because I knew what I was doing wasn't right, but I couldn't fully put my finger on why it wasn't right, besides, having sex before marriage. But looking back and realizing the deeper significance behind it is I was ignoring myself, ignoring my body, ignoring what the energy surrounding it was trying to tell me. Because at the time, I didn't realize that when you're engaging with different people on that level, you're not only exchanging bodily fluid, you're not only exchanging physicalness, you're also exchanging energy. And wow. Not only are you exchanging with their energy, but you're exchanging with their partner's energies and like whomever else y'all came into contact with while, not engaging sexually together. So that's a lot of energies to have on you as a person. Damn the bodies. Check the energy. Because I started to notice that I couldn't focus on nothing. Like, I had bad anxiety. At the time that I believed in depression, I went through depression. Like, it was just so much filth up in my energy fields. Alone just from fornicating with other people that I had no business fornicating with. Look into that.
I came of age in the full flush of the sexual revolution, part of a generation of baby boomers born between 1951 and 1970 who started having sex earlier with more partners. Growing up in the heady days of free love, it was de rigueur to sleep with as many men as possible, to try everything, to consider oneself a fully paid-up member of a new race. When I was a girl, Germaine Greer was declaring that any woman who had not tasted her own menstrual blood had not yet fully inhabited her femaleness. I wasn't going to live a life like my mother's, a virgin when she married my father at 21. Our mothers might not have known what a clitoris was, but we did. In those supposedly halcyon days of sexual freedom, no man ever asked if you were on the pill. He just assumed you were. By the time I hit my late 20s, in the early 80s, herpes was the worry. Then, of course, came AIDS, but by now I was running out of puff, no longer convinced there was anything to be gained by numerous notches in the bedpost. By the time I finished sleeping around, I was coming up for 30. I reckoned I had slept with about 60 men. The truth of the matter is that, of those many encounters, perhaps a dozen were pleasurable occasions I can actually recall. If I had been promised spontaneous and joyful sex, what I often got was awkwardness and disappointment. Once or twice I was coerced. A few times I went along with it because the man seemed to expect it. Alcohol was often a feature. I hardly meant to sleep with so many men. It was just what one did back then, like sharing a drink or a fag. If, on the one hand, we pretended the act itself was ordinary, mundane, we also invested it with a lot of ideology. As a feminist, I believed the personal was political and that I had the right to the same sexual freedom as men. In reality, open relationships were a nightmare, painful, seething with repressed jealousy, and personally destructive. Now, I know that my sleeping around was a kind of smokescreen and had more to do with my own poor sense of self. I lacked self-esteem, and a man wanting to sleep with me made me feel powerful, desired. I thought it gave me value, so much for sexual empowerment. And of course, sex has a meaning beyond the act itself. It isn't nothing, as we once pretended it was. It is still as hard as ever to strip sex of its mysteries. It is still as hard as ever, too, sexually, to share the person we love with someone else. A few years ago, I learned that I had the human papillomavirus, HPV, the result of sex with many men over many years. Certain strains can lead to cervical cancer, and I went on to develop CIN1, cervical intraepithelial neoplasia. I had 2 abnormal smears, followed by a colposcopy to excise the rogue cells. Now everything is back to normal, and I suppose I must count myself lucky. Today, at 53, I'm in a long-standing monogamous relationship, the mother of 2 daughters about to embark on their own sexual lives. My girls attend a church school, and when I'm in the playground with all the other mothers, I wonder who else shares my dirty little secret. My eldest recently turned 11 and is keenly interested in boys. My youngest will probably soon follow suit. I am going to make sure both get vaccinated against HPV. What do I want for them? Do I want them to know about my long erotic roll call? Those many men whose names and faces I have forgotten? Of course not. I'm writing this anonymously. The so-called sexual revolution did not ride women of their shame or of false consciousness. Only my closest girlfriends, and certainly not my partner, know the full details of my sexual history. I want my daughters to enter their sexual lives with the fullest of hearts. I want them to enjoy their sexuality, but I also want them to be safe. I certainly don't want them to sleep with as many men as I did. I also wish for them a more mature appreciation of consequence. What did those many sexual encounters bring me? Did they enrich my life? Give me a deeper understanding of men, of human nature? It seems I hardly thought my body belonged to me, or that I had any personal responsibility over it. I understand now, of course. The permissive 60s may or may not have left an enhanced cultural legacy, but it has certainly left its mark on the bodies of women such as me.